Attraction, as far as physique goes, is really not that complicated. It's like a horseshoe graph, you know, where on one end you have a small number of women who really like big dudes. Think Muscle Worship, Rich Piana, Larry Wheels, Brad Castleberry, The Rock, the mass monsters, you know, versus the women who like really skinny people, like Christian Bale in The Machinist or Captain America before the super soldier serum. No offense to The Rock, but the vast majority of female attraction lies somewhere in the middle with what are very attainable physiques naturally. Brad Pitt in Fight Club, Daniel Craig, James Bond, Chris Pratt in Guardians 1. I actually ran a poll on my Instagram, but there's a bit of a voter bias here because the majority of the men and women who follow me are gym rats, or presumably are people who like gym rat physiques. Male and female preferences from my audience at least tended to agree that Chris Evans' physique in Captain America was the best one. And I'm gonna give y'all some good news. Although that is very impressive and a very challenging one to achieve, I built a pretty similar one all natty. So there is some hope there. Here's a much larger poll though from foxhoundstudio.com. This episode wraps up with a piece that those of you who listened to the last episode on gym cells, you are going to die laughing about this. This poll has over 1,000 women here to confirm my thoughts, with 73% of them voting Brad Pitt in Fight Club as the most attractive physique, and that number jumping to 87 when his face was removed. And in kind of a shitty way, that means 14% of women think Brad Pitt is unattractive, which means 100% of us are screwed when it comes to dating. This is like the inverse of all those dudes saying Margot Robbie is mid. Please be real for a second, guys. Did you not watch Wolf of Wall Street?
And you know something else, Daddy? Mommy is just so sick and tired of wearing panties.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's wrong, Daddy?
Anyway, of these same women, only 1% chose three-time Mr. Olympia Frank Zane. Men, when asked the same question, chose Frank Zane at more than 50%. And not only is that interesting, but it's very relevant to some things toward the end of this video. But yes, you heard right. That means 50% of men want a physique that only 1% of women actually find attractive. But this does give some important insight that maybe those of you listening can use as a hack of sorts. Think of the gal that you find most attractive. Her look, her vibe. Is she athletic? This poll shows a 14% increase in attraction to Frank Zane and bodybuilders, if so. Is she more artsy coffee shop gal? The Henry Rollins body jumps about 6%. Is she more fashion aesthetic? Then Henry Rollins and Vil Vallo both get a 10% bump. And you may hear those jumps and think that means that you can tailor your physique to get the girl that you want. And yes, it can help. But basically, unless the girl you like is a chubby chaser, the Brad Pitt Fight Club physique was still always the lead, and in several cases got an even greater boost in desirability. But although that is the desired body, and a very attainable one naturally, by the way, the bar is much lower than that.
Clearly something else has lowered the bar even more! I must go deeper!
Here's several numbers that may give you some hope. 89% of women say men who keep themselves in good shape are more attractive. 75% of them want their men to be stronger than them. 62% want a man who can protect them. 59% think it is important for men to have bigger arms than them. 38% said being physically stronger was important. 38% said an average physique was okay. Only 3% said that being ripped and muscular was important. These goals aren't exactly shooting for the stars. Unless you're going for some role reversal here, and you are into muscle worship gals, men are on average 50% stronger than women, so all those things should be achievable within a few months of training and diet. Here's where this article begins to fall apart though. 92% of women said they want a guy who is naturally fit. This is the same group that voted Brad Pitt as the most attractive physique. Two things here. Nearly every actor is enhanced, not because they need it for every physique that they attain, but because it is their job and they need to do it quickly so they can get paid. Like Christian Bale going from Machinist to Batman. So when women say they want a guy who is natural and point to a celebrity or athlete, know that that person is almost surely on gear due to a time constraint or income incentive. Second, Brad got that physique with a ton of hard work and intention, or maybe a little sazul to make it easier. But with this article saying women like physiques that look like they didn't take an obsessive amount of exercise, it seems like maybe they don't realize how much effort and upkeep single-digit body fat actually takes. To make this even more ironic, the 2010s Ryan Reynolds physique was voted as too lean, but also the second most attractive physique.
They're the same picture.
So if all this is true, why does it seem like bodybuilders always get so many girls? It is due to something called the popularity illusion. Right now, I have longish hair. About 8 to 10% of women like men with long hair. However, only 2 to 3% of men have long hair. So even though the desire isn't very high, there is more demand than supply. That kind of rhymed. It makes it look like a long-haired man has women all over him. What we don't see is the other 90% that have absolutely no interest at all. A very small amount of women like that juicy look, but because there are so few guys with that build, there's a supply and demand issue. In a funny sort of way, taking gear and building a massive physique does get you a lot of attention from a smaller pool, but much more likely a pool you aren't interested in, as I covered in episode 58. Here's a clip of C-Bum from that episode about this.
What is the ratio of attention that you get from guys versus girls?
Like 90-10. In favor of men, of course.
We end up making our physique goals usually around what gets us the most attention, and being that men are much more forward to compliment gains, we have a ton of men telling us that we look huge, and in our stupid monkey brains, we go, oh, all attention is good attention. So more muscle means more attention. So more muscle means more girls. But the truth that almost any gym bro will tell you is that few women will ever outright compliment your physique unless you are in a relationship or actively dating them. So what did this article ultimately find? Well, yes, Brad Pitt in Fight Club was the most desired body for women every time. No matter how they skewed or altered the sample results, Tyler Durden always wins. But what body was most desired by men? Someone who didn't even pop up on the female radar. Let's get a little drum roll here. Ziz. As it should be, everyone. Look at this man, the aesthetic god. Let's go, let's go. I know that was a lot, but there is even more context explained in that top video right there. Click that, and I'll see you there later.